beautiful basement of Zane's mom's house. I'm Jordan Darby, joined as always with Mr. Luke Callahan, Zane Chapelier, and we are ready to talk some college football. It was a wild weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
To say the least.
Sir.
2 major upsets, one almost upset, and then, of course, pure dominance by the Miami Hurricanes. But let's get down to business. Let's go ahead and we're going to kick it off with the big news story for this weekend with Kansas State and Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
Who wants to lead this off?
This one came out of the fucking, far left field.
Yeah.
This came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody expected Kansas State to respond like this after the ugly upset loss that they had.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were dominated in their week 1 game against Louisiana. And yeah, it was Louisiana.
Arkansas State.
It was Arkansas State.
Yep.
There were so many Big 12 upsets by the Sun Belt last week.
Yeah.
It's getting hard to keep track.
Yeah. But anyway, Kansas State responded really well. And again, I think it just comes down to Oklahoma's lack of a defense, man. I mean, it was ugly. They couldn't stop anything. You look at 334 passing yards by Skylar Thompson, combined 69 yards by the 2 Kansas State running backs. They were moving the ball at will.
I mean, look, this is a Kansas State team that hasn't done anything in like 6 years.
Yeah.
They used to be a solid team, and I mean, we haven't seen it in a long time. It catches me really off guard that, I mean, we all kind of figured Oklahoma would probably slip up at some point. These Big 12 teams.
Not this early.
I know, it's so hard for them to make it through their schedules without beating each other. But for this early into this team, I just don't get it, to be honest. I'm ashamed to pick them to win I picked them to win the Big 12. Because I don't think it's happening now.
I think it's just crazy how these upsets are coming in motion. Like everyone loves a good upset, especially as long as it's not your team that you root for.
Yep.
So, and a lot of us here don't care for Oklahoma. So, being able to see that happen, it's kind of inspiring to any of us who want to see more upsets, want to see what our teams could be capable of doing in situations where we're the underdog, right? So, seeing that just gives me goosebumps for what's to come for the rest of the season going into college football.
I mean, this type of shit is opening up the door for what we've talked about in the first podcast.
Yeah.
When we were talking the American Conference finally getting a playoff bid,
Yeah.
and I said it can't happen unless shit really falls apart between all the conferences. I mean, of course, the Big Ten and Pac-12 coming back in, that's going to weaken those chances greatly, but
You can't just look at the American Conference as that bid anymore either. I mean, if you look at the teams that are doing the upsetting and even starting to slip into the AP pool, which we'll talk about a little bit later, you have to consider the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
You
do.
have to consider the Sun Belt. That is looking like a really strong conference. You look at the 3 upsets over Big 12 teams we saw last week, and I think the week before. I'm sorry, my memory is terrible. But you look at that, and then you look at the close games that all of those teams that upset the Big 12 are having with each other. And we'll get into this game a little bit later too, but Louisiana is coming off of 2 back-to-back really tight wins within the conference. So the Sun Belt's looking really, really competent and competitive. So you can't count them out and only look at the American as having a shot.
The reason I don't think you can, I think it's different because now that you got all these teams coming back, and then the Sun Belt's going into their own conference schedule. I think it's going to be hard for them to crack higher into the top 20. I mean,
Louisiana's already in the 15th spot.
I know, but I feel like they're going to start dropping because they're playing Sun Belt competition for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have all these teams that have come back. You're going to have the Big Ten's going to start having.
Yeah.
You're going to have the other Minnesota's going to start rising up higher, and all these
they
other
don't
teams.
have the conference prestige that even the American does.
That's why the American's different.
But this is where, Ian, what I think too is that as these other conferences fall in, then that's going to have other conferences kind of fall down.
Yeah.
When one goes up, one must go down. So, in the process of that, I think as we have this Pac-12 jump in and this Big Ten jump back in, then I honestly wouldn't be mad to see some American Conference mixed with some Sun Belt football. I kind of want to see some action. I want to see how Cincinnati would do against the Raging Cajuns.
Well, now I want to see
I want to see that matchup.
I want to see the expanded fucking playoff.
I want to see what the American could
Like,
do against the Big 12.
The expanded playoff, I think that's huge. Now, I understand that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of matchups we want to see.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that we still don't know yet. We still have plenty of football to talk about. We have a lot more to see. But now we know that the hype gets way out of control sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Oklahoma's hype was stupid. Now that we've seen
Spencer
that Kansas
Rattler,
State.
especially, the dude was number 3 in the Heisman odds behind only Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, which to me is mind-blowing that they had him ahead of De'Aaron King compare the competition. That
I agree.
They
Well,
go and
yeah.
whoop the shit out of a team that doesn't matter and then lose to Kansas
And
State.
they were sleeping. They were sleeping on Derek King 100%. And that is why there's so much
De'Aaron
excitement
King,
around
now
Miami.
now they're saying like Kyle Trask is jumping
Yeah.
De'Aaron
Yeah.
King to me, which is I don't.
You guys want to talk about hype getting killed real quick? Look at LSU.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I told you so, but I fucking told you so.
Mhm.
Mike Leach and Mississippi State came out and they played a hell of a ball game.
Yep.
I mean,
I took them too. I remember taking
It
them.
was beautiful. I loved watching it.
Well, and it's funny because like I really counted out that upset, but I didn't realize KJ Costello transferred there, and
Yeah.
I liked KJ Costello when he was at Stanford, and I mean the dude put up 623 yards,
Yeah.
which was an
Yep.
SEC record in an SEC game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not gonna say I ate my own words. I really didn't think that Mike Leach could get that air raid offense rolling. Of course, then again, like I said, I really didn't pay attention to the fact that KJ Costello was there, and that's a big difference because that dude can ball.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed, man. I'm not gonna lie. You made the pick. I probably should have looked at it a little harder and seen who was the personnel he really had.
I wish I could have dove in a little bit more during that game. But we had so much football going on at once.
Yeah.
It was impossible
We
to
had
just
5
lock in.
screens going.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had 5 screens going at once. It's hard to just lock in and pay attention to everything so detailed. But I really wanted to see how LSU's offensive line did against Mississippi State because I was telling you guys that was kind of one of my trench matchups
Yeah.
was that defensive end for them and then that left tackle being the only returning starter for that O-line. Comes to show, man, like LSU is not what they used to be now, and
No.
everyone was expecting them to still be that good. And they came in with a lot of hype.
They're still going to be very good.
I think they'll be good,
And as they get going and you get the young guys that didn't get to play a lot last season because of how talented and how loaded that roster was. As they gain more experience, I think they'll start to catch their stride
Crack their
again.
shell.
But I mean, Brennan, that was his first start in what, like
4
4
years.
years?
2016 was his last time he started. And that was in high school.
He still put
Yeah.
up 345 yards with 3 touchdowns. He had 2 picks, but again, he's an inexperienced quarterback. That was his first start in 4 years. He's going to have those mistakes, and I think once LSU catches their stride and they start to get that experience and that confidence under their belt, they'll start to get back to what their expectations are.
But I'm actually taking the opposite road. I think you're gonna really start seeing LSU fall apart. I don't think that win is. I think that that loss is gonna take a lot of the wind out of their sails, like fast. Because you got to think, dude, this team lost a lot, and it's not just players, but it's like I was talking about. I believe our first podcast when I was talking about LSU, and I said that loss of having Joe Brady go. Joe Burrow go all at the same time. Pretty much their entire offense, the catalyst for their offense, is gone. And that was Ed Orgeron's problem, was he couldn't put an offense together. And then now the guy that came and did it, he's gone after 1 year.
Yeah.
I feel like it was one miracle year for LSU, and I think they're going to go to a middle-of-the-pack SEC school. And that proves it to me. I feel like it's not over yet for LSU this year in terms of these kinds of losses. I think because I'm still not insanely high on Mississippi State. I just think it was more LSU showing their weakness
Yeah. Well, I agree
than
with that.
anything, because I think Mississippi State will get blanked by
Yeah.
like Alabama and shit.
Well, I'm not crazy high on the Bulldogs either. I think what this weekend showed us is the SEC isn't near as strong as it has been in the past. We saw a lot of concerns arise from the powerhouse schools in the SEC, but Mississippi State, I think they're going to be that middle of the pack SEC team again. I'm not ready to write off LSU yet because of how inexperienced those players are. And Luke, experience, like game experience at the college level is so much different than high school. And it takes a little bit to get used to the game speed. And once you get used to it and get that confidence going, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's finding that fluidity because you could have a quarterback that's on cue with his wide receivers and his offensive line in practice, and that's all good and fun. But you're going up against usually a scout defense, or you're going up against your starting defense where you're making sure you're not taking dudes to the ground and going 100% because you can't, or else you're going to lose guys. So when you go into that game situation, then it takes a couple reps before you can really get into the flow, the motion of things, and really feel comfortable with what you're doing. So once they kind of get that fluidity and the game time speed, they're going to be okay, I think. And they're going to kind of crack out of their shell a little bit more as they develop. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and like going off what you said, losing a lot of players, it's perfect. Just to stay in the SEC. One thing we talked about week 1 when we made our conference projections was talking about Florida and its lack of attrition and ability to retain the majority of their players. And they went out and blanked Ole Miss. And I know none of us are high on Ole Miss, but for them to put up, it is concerning that Ole Miss put up 35 points against Florida.
And that's what I was about to say.
But,
I don't think putting up 35 is considered blanking.
But a 51-point showing, Kyle Pitts catching 4 touchdowns, and I know you guys are really high on the linebacker there.
Well, Luke, you go ahead and get into this.
Let me tell you,
we
man,
watched
like,
this boy together,
and this, I'm telling you right now, this is going to change the way I do the tail of the trenches now too, because I have to start including linebackers,
pass rushing linebackers,
and sometimes even these running backs too. Like I have to, because let's be real, what happens in the box isn't just the linemen sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to take recognition.
Running back misses an assignment, that's GG. The quarterback's done.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So like, I think after watching this, I'm like, I got to start taking the linebackers into account. Ventrell Miller, number 51, 15 tackles and 1 sack in that game.
Dude.
And he was stuffing dudes at the line of scrimmage.
Fucking loved
Zero
it.
fear, perfect form tackling, face up, nose to the chest, and just wrapping dudes up and just stopping them full momentum. Like, running backs are coming at them with full speed. He's got 2 feet planted. He's not even running into the hole. He's just stopping dudes like a brick wall.
His vision and instincts were incredible to watch because anytime any sort of gap opened up, he was shooting a gap and meeting the running back in the hole. And there multiple times he lit that boy up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, like you said, it was perfect form, and the pop you could hear through the TV screen. It was just amazing to hear.
Yeah, and they started giving him some recognition during the game and stuff. And I think as long as that dude doesn't break his neck, he's going to be a beast. And he's going to the league.
I mean,
no doubt in my mind.
What is it? 15 total tackles, 13 solo in one game. I mean, that is just and a sack. Throwing that in there. I mean, that is just a hell of a performance. And it's Ole Miss, but that's still SEC caliber talent that you're playing against.
Right.
So that is very impressive. I'm excited to see what he's going to do as he moves forward. But Darby, I want to get your take. Go in a little bit deeper on Mr. Kyle Pitts here, because he had a hell of a performance, and the one that stuck out to me was that stiff arm touchdown. That was whew.
It's funny because I like to go back because this all brings flashbacks to week 1 when we made our first video, and I brought up Kyle Pitts, who was I said was not. I still feel Brevin Jordan's the best tight end in the country, but I said Kyle Pitts is right there with him.
Yeah.
And right now those two are just battling it out, and I mean 4 touchdowns in a game by a tight end.
Well, and you think about last year, he was excluded from the award for best tight end in the country because they said he played too much wideout and he didn't really block enough. So they excluded him from contention for that award. And so they even mentioned it on the broadcast that he really focused this offseason on focusing on his blocking. And he made a couple of really key blocks early in that game. So I think as he progresses in his blocking, he's a threat as a receiver. So as he continues to improve his blocking, he's going to be right up there with Brevin for the best tight end in the country, man.
Oh, they're right neck and neck right now. If Brevin Jordan wasn't still playing out of his mind, I'd say that Kyle Pitts was the best tight end in the country, but Brevin Jordan's still staying solid through 3 games. So it's just really impressive to me that, I mean, he had 8 receptions. So that means half of his catches were touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive to me. Those are impressive numbers.
Yeah. Well, all right. We talked on those games, but we got to go back to the Big 12 here.
Is Texas back?
Oh my God. Dude.
Horns up? Question mark? I don't know.
No, definitely not horns up. We aren't hooking them, dude. The Big 12 is a mess. You have your top 2. Oklahoma drops it to Kansas State, and then you have this overtime thriller between the Longhorns and Texas Tech. I mean, what in the hell is going on here? I mean, you look at Ellinger, he had a great game. You know, he put up 262 yards, had 5 touchdowns and a pick. So it was your standard Big 12 football game, all offense, no defense, and it's been the same kind of running joke for the Big 12 for years now that they don't play defense. When is it going to change? When is it going to change?
I don't think it's ever going to.
This is awful. We're only the 4th week into the season. The SEC just played their first week. I'm already to the point to where I don't think a Big 12 team, even if it's the Big 12 champion, gets into the college football playoff. Plain and simple.
Well, if they continue to cannibalize themselves the way they're going, by the looks of it, because, I mean, let's be honest, Texas Tech, they played last week a Sun Belt team, correct? And barely escaped. Texas Tech did, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they were one of, because I remember we were said that they almost knocked off 5 Big Ten.
Houston Baptist.
Houston
That's right.
Baptist almost pulled up.
That was the Sun Belt
win on Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And this Texas Tech team took Texas to overtime, put up 53 points. So to me, or 56 points. My bad. But
yeah,
I hate the Big 12. I'm not gonna lie. I hate it.
I never really cared for the Big 12. I've always been still kind of like a fan of Texas, but after watching that game, I 100% agree with you guys. Like, it's dog shit defense, and nobody wants to see that, you know. And I mean, well, people don't mind seeing it, but like, to me, you're not gonna be able to build off of any of this, because all it's gonna be is your offense is gonna continue to run themselves into the ground and get hurt, as long as your defense is quickly just giving it up. And I think, you know what they say, you know, if you're gonna get ran over, if you're blocking for somebody and you get trucked by a defensive lineman, the term is called die slowly. And that means if you're gonna get trucked, you just fall down and kick them at the ankles, like make them fall down, do something.
Bring them with you.
Yeah, if you're going off the edge, grabsies, bring them down with you, you know. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here from the Big 12. They're just dying slowly. They're not trying to defend for themselves. They're not holding their ground here.
No.
And it's kind of frustrating, because now here's the only thing that I see a benefit out of this, though, is that I could see some of these teams, like we're talking about, these teams that deserve a shot and some opportunity to showcase their abilities, like the American Conference, the Sun Belt Conference. Let's keep throwing the American and Sun Belt at the Big 12. Let's throw it at them, because like, I want to see some matchups. I think Cincy could take Texas Tech.
Well, because I'm not going to lie.
Cincy could take I think your Big 3 in the American could easily take challenge for the top of the Big 12 right now.
If Texas is playing defense like that, UCF.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Here's my big statement. I say if you took UCF, put them in the Big 12, they win the Big 12.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a thing.
I think
that
they
definitely
could
be
beat Texas. I think they could beat Oklahoma. And if they can beat those two, they can sure as hell beat any other team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think if you put Cincy in there too, I think we could battle for it. So give us a shot. You know, let us play. Let us get at it a little bit and show that we can fucking handle dudes like this, and quit being the hype. I think people just hear the word big in front of the name of the conference and they're just like, oh, big time. Like, you know what I mean? Like big. And then the SEC is like, all God-loving, but like, we understand SEC is actually pretty good fucking football. But you hear the word big and then 12, and people just hear the word big and they think, oh, like Big 10.
It's a power conference.
It's stupid.
Quote unquote.
It's a falling apart.
I'm fed up, boys. Let's what from speaking on terms of the American Conference. Let us at them. Yeah. Let us at them. Like, open the gates. Let us go at them.
And I'm going to keep harping on it. This is why I'm an advocate for a 16-team playoff. Every conference champion gets an automatic bid, and then you have the 6 at-large bids. I think that's how it needs to be, because those would be good games. And we're seeing those smaller conferences, those top-end teams in those conferences can compete. But you touched on Cincinnati, and you think they would be able to handle them. They handled the triple option from Army pretty well, only gave up 10 points. I have some concerns with the offense, but give me your thoughts. I know you have some concerns of your own.
Okay. So I think we need to do a better job coming out the gate. Outside of that, I think we're okay. I don't think there's really anything, and I think that's going to come in time. It's always been kind of the demise of any football team in the American Conference. So is either we come out slow as shit and we have to battle our way back into football games, or we come out. I don't mind that style of football though, because to me that means we're starting off with a game plan and we're critiquing it as the game goes forward.
Yeah.
Because that's how you have to go about it. In the case of which you're coming up and you're improving, you're coming into this season with all these expectations and all of these hopes for your team, and being number 15 and all these other things going on right now. I think we have to go into a game starting off slow and build from it, and then critique it as we move forward in the game and then take over. Because the other way it goes is we come out just dominating and then we let up fourth quarter and we slip up and we don't make adjustments. We just stick to our game plan while the other team makes their adjustments and they defeat us. I've seen it happen, and especially against bigger opponents. Now against Army, it's not such a game where I'm going to be worried about how we're going to have to make adjustments or anything like that or come out the gate hot. Against Austin Peay, I want us to come out the gate swinging and just dominating. We pretty much did, but we still had some hiccups. Now with this game, defensively, we were battling. I thought the defensive battle was good the whole way through. I'm still waiting to see who on our defense is going to step up and be the dude. But right now, they're all battling together as one team, and I like to see that. And I know that that's what they're all about. So I think they're doing just fine. I'm just waiting to see when one dude is just going to separate himself from the group as a guy who's just going to be the one who truly leads the defense. Because right now, I haven't quite seen the guy on our defense who's holding the staff and leading him up. Now, maybe that's because they're all leaders right now.
My thing with your guys' defense is, you talk about no one guy has really separated himself from the bunch, but your guys are really playing as a unit. Now, you have to remember, this was a ranked Army team that is pretty solid. They're a solid ball team. And you guys did not give up a single offensive touchdown. Their only touchdown came off of a fumble, scoop, and score.
Yeah.
So your defense blanked. They gave up a field goal. That is a damn good game for a defense.
Right.
My concern lies a little bit with
shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's always been another worry, but that's for any football team has that worry where you shoot yourself in the foot. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be Ohio State Buckeyes. You could be Miami Hurricanes. You could be the Cleveland Browns. You could be anybody. You're always worried about shooting yourself in the fucking foot.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. Right. And so we're sitting here talking about this game, and I sit here and I think it's okay. We're gonna be all right. Ritter, once he steps in, finally cracks out of his shell, and he gets some of those jitters out of the way, and they settle down. They do fine. Our offensive line is building. They're getting better. I saw them improve as the game went on. There was a couple moments where I was like, "Come on, boys! Come on, get it together." And then they started to, once they, especially coming out into the second half, and I was like, "Okay, we're fine." But I think we improved. We're gonna get better from that game. I look at that game as we're definitely gonna get better. That we're going to learn from our mistakes in that game, and we're going to build off of those and be able to critique and make sure it doesn't happen again. So I see that being a solid game to build, learn, and grow as we prepare to move forward into this season.
Okay, yeah. I definitely see it. I'm excited to watch them. There's going to be some big games, and I really hope they clean up the mistakes, because watching those self-inflicted wounds, they can come back to haunt you when you're playing some competent opponents. But Darby, we all watched this game, at least most of it, together at the bar last night, and we were having a ball.
It was a blast.
Let's get into it.
What a day!
So it sucked because I was able to half pay attention to this game live. I had to rewatch the condensed version today, sober, and be able to actually process the actual plays, but. Man.
Oh, it was so fun.
So, and I'm going to lead this off because I've been getting into discussions already with people, and they're like, well, Florida State sucks. Well, okay. So, when it comes to these types of rivalry games, you have to scratch everything. It doesn't...
Not completely.
It usually doesn't matter. Usually when you come into these types of games against your biggest rival, that's where you're going to get the most competition from, because that's just where the hatred is. And usually that stands true. Didn't for Florida State. 52 points for Miami. That was the most points scored in this rivalry's history. Fun fact for you guys that didn't know that. Turnover chain made 3 appearances. It was just our defense. I mean, now I know Florida State has offensive problems.
Yeah,
But, man, because I think the one thing I really want to hit on this game that I said it last night, I said it again when I was rewatching the condensed game, was we just have a hunger right now. This team, everyone's been knocking us, and for rightfully so, have been knocking this team. And now we've got that coach with a fire. We have an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing.
And you have a chief of staff that is a Hall of Famer and an alum that the players are going to respect, and he's going to make sure the culture and that drive and that passion is and that purpose is really there.
And you have for the first time, I mean, in a really long time, I can't even really name another guy. For the first time, having a leader at quarterback.
Yeah.
He is a leader. I mean, he has completely changed this mindset. Because I want to take you guys back to last year, okay? We were dealing with Jaron Williams and N'Kosi Perry. You got N'Kosi Perry posting porn to his freaking
I forgot about
flashing
that shit.
money every week. Like, I
Oh,
love you
shit.
to death, Cozy. You've given me some fantastic memories as a Kane quarterback coming in with comebacks and things like that. But, dude, no focus there. And then you got Jaron Williams, who, by reports, showing up to practice in games hungover, was smoking and drinking out the night before. And, you want to live the party life, live the fucking party life, but when it comes to football, it's business. And I don't care, if you want to sit here fucking Tuesday through Thursday fucking getting fucked up and shit like that, whatever, dude, it's college, live your life. But when it comes to being the quarterback of a fucking premier football team, you shouldn't be showing up to practices as the leader, fucking hungover and not showing the fight.
Well, that's the demise of almost any football program that you worry about. And we look at, like, in history's past, Hurricanes and what happened in the past, and then you look at other teams like USC back in the day. You see, we're talking about dudes who are 18 to 22 years old, and they've got a lot of money and a lot of people giving them notice and recognition, and they're looking at them, talking to them, and these guys are under a lot of pressure when you think about it. So when we're talking about their situation, where they at, the only thing that I think could possibly stop Miami on their trail to victory is themselves. They're the only, like, if they get into trouble or they do something stupid or someone posts something wrong and they get themselves in some serious trouble, that is the only thing that I can possibly think of that's going to ruin their streak right now. Now, of course, they're going to have to get themselves ready for a good ball game against Clemson coming up.
Yeah.
But I think they can handle. I think that's going to be a solid game. And this is going to be how many College Game Days that they've ran?
Dude, it would I would think College Game Day goes to Miami versus Clemson. I would think it's going to be a top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
Clemson will probably still be number 1, barring a fucking upset. I don't know who they play this week, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But that would make College Game Day, if they do go to the Clemson Miami game, that'd be 3 out of the 4 Miami games so far have been College Game Day.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Let's get it going.
Going back to this game, I wasn't really worried about Miami losing to Florida State.
I mean, I said 31.
And the 10 points that you gave up, that's right about what I expected, because the defense for Miami is phenomenal. We all know about the issues that Florida State's offense has. What really kind of surprised me was putting up the 52. That I was expecting, like 38 to like maybe 45, somewhere in that range, but I wasn't expecting that kind of blowout. And I mean, it was just really fun to watch. Cameron Harris, man, that boy is a stud. And then again, Jalen Phillips,
Bubba freaking Bolden, baby. Look,
asses off.
Bubba Bolden, I believe he only had 4 total tackles.
Such a fun name to say.
But he had a pass breakup, a great instinctive play that saved a touchdown that he swatted into Al Blade's hands and got a pick, and then followed it up by getting a pick of his own. Also had a sack. I mean, dude, he's playing out of his mind. So was Jalen Phillips before he got ejected.
Yeah.
And so was Quincy Roche. I mean, you can probably
Everybody.
honestly can take a name from that defense. DJ Ivey, he was locked down. When I actually went back and rewatched everything, he's
And-
actually been locked down for 2 weeks.
And that's kind of what you said happens with him. He has those really bad letdown games, and then he locks it in for a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah,
and so that's what I would like to see out of him is to break the trend. Don't go back and have another letdown.
yeah, because now we're going into
continue.
Clemson. We don't want that to happen now.
And I think the build-up, having this bye week, is going to help with that too. I think having this bye week, getting more prepared for Clemson, we are looking for. I can't wait.
Well, so
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
My only thing I'm hesitant with the bye week is last year Manny Diaz had a very, very hard time. Every time we came off a bye week, we lost. Every single bye week we came off of, we lost. But this is a way, way, way different Miami team than last year.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and Manny Diaz celebrating with cigars with the team,
yeah.
and it was a great game, but not as good as Louisiana and Georgia Southern. I know we're really freaking
This
pumped to
is-
talk about this.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
He's mad. He's got his new team. He
Yeah.
likes
Yep.
Georgia Southern.
I'm a
and,
Georgia Southern guy.
we were
now.
over here celebrating our Raging Cajuns.
Oh,
Let's
that
get-
the game winner
Yeah,
kick.
dude.
I mean, that was
nuts.
a hell of a boot.
It was
And
53 yards,
yeah,
wasn't it?
I think it was 53 or 54.
Yeah.
I mean, rocket, and I mean it was clear for much more than just that. And to do it in the clutch was phenomenal as time's running out. But that was just a phenomenal game overall. It was tight. It was good defense. Some solid coaching and game planning and scheme went into it. And you look at just some of the offensive numbers for the quarterbacks alone. I mean, you have Wirtz for Georgia Southern went 11 of 18, 255.
He made some great plays, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that one where he escaped the sack, and he literally had the ball in the ground to keep his
He
balance.
did a straight up bear crawl
Yeah.
with a football in his hand.
Yeah.
And then he got up and threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And I think
And
was
that
that,
was
for was that for the 2-pointer? Because it was for a 2-point. They ran a 2-point
I believe
conversion.
that was an
didn't
actual touchdown.
they? Okay.
it
And
was-
then they did a 2-point conversion after that, didn't they?
I believe so, because that was he only had one passing touchdown.
Okay. Then I think it was after that. Maybe he had the 2-point conversion. I'm pretty sure there was a 2-point conversion in that game. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know.
And again, we
But
have
that was
we have so
incredible.
much confusion as remembering sequence of events because we had 4 TVs going on.
I thought it was 5.
We had 4,
We had 4.
Was it 4?
but
Yeah.
we were still checking in on other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We had a lot going on,
our,
guys.
our eyes were bouncing all over the place trying to keep track of everything.
We were drinking beer. I mean, dude, it's a hard time. when we're
Oh
trying to
yeah,
keep
it was
up with
brutal.
It was a great day to have a day, bad day to be a beer yesterday, fellas. Bad day to be a beer.
this. Hey. Yeah.
Oh my
Cheers
gosh.
to that.
So so that was an awesome game. That was one of a few tight ones, but one that wasn't tight. That really kind of I expected them to win, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Was Virginia Tech beating North Carolina State with 23 players missing from their starting roster? I mean, 45-24 was the final score of that game, and holy crap, the Hokies just put it on them. You look at their quarterback play. Their starting quarterback was 7 for 11, only 106 yards. Their backup, well, hold on. Was Quincy Patterson the backup or the starter? Because he's the one with the 2 touchdowns.
I didn't get a chance to actually watch that game.
Did
at
he go
all,
down?
So.
I have no idea, actually. Because, like I said, we were bouncing around. But the run game, it seemed to be what took over for the Hokies. You have 3 rushing touchdowns by 3 different running backs. And a total of 314 yards on the ground. That is a hell of a rushing attack, similar to what Miami put up, not this
UAB.
week, but last week against UAB.
2 weeks ago.
And or 2 weeks ago, and this is a conference opponent. So that was a hell of a game by the Hokies with a lot of players missing from the roster.
and it's hard to. I wish I would have gotten a chance to watch this game because I don't know if it was more Virginia Tech or if it was just NC State just not being a good team.
And that's what when the Wake Forest NC State game happened, I told you that I was not impressed at all with NC State, and you kind of were bringing them up a little bit.
I like to take the upset
but
picks. I look. I'm going
just-
to get some
just not the
upset
right
picks.
ones.
No, I did terrible. I did terrible in our pickup
But
this week.
I was not impressed with North Carolina State, and I mean, I think they're right down there with the bottom of the barrel in terms of the SEC or ACC. My bad, with Wake.
When they were
honestly.
projected, I believe, to finish the bottom three teams this year.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising. I mean, I guess I got a little more hyped up over their the yardage and point total against Wake Forest, just because I'm like, that's a sleeper. Virginia Tech's dealing with a lot of losses.
But we see, even dealing with the losses, they can still deal.
Yeah.
They can handle. They have the depth to do it.
And then, staying in the ACC, another disappointing pick was I picked Louisville over Pitt.
As did I.
I thought there'd be a bounce back game with Louisville's outstanding offense, but Pitt's defense, I brought it up. Even though when I picked Louisville, I was like, but Pitt's defense is stellar. And I mean, shit, they held Louisville in check better than Miami did.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
23-20.
Again, that was just a solid defensive showing by Pitt. Luke, I would like to hear your thoughts on this, because I mean, Louisville only had 2 offensive touchdowns, one throwing and one rushing. So what were your thoughts on this one, man?
I really liked watching Pitt's run game and their offensive line. That was something that I really enjoyed watching. What were the run game stats for Pitt?
So rushing, they totaled 156, no touchdowns though.
Okay. Well, their offensive line looked pretty solid, and that was something I enjoyed watching. But overall, and I know this has nothing to do with the play, but the uniforms are pretty badass. I've never seen this. Those are cool.
I liked them.
Those are sweet. But just kind of from my point of view, their defense was solid. Their offensive line was something that I really enjoyed watching. That's something that I always lock in on. And overall, I was kind of surprised by how Pitt's defense handled Louisville's offense in the way that they did.
Well, that defense is something that I think gives Pitt the ability to really upset some big-time teams. You look at the defensive stats. They had 7 sacks and 12 tackles for loss in this game. That is incredible stat in and of itself.
Yeah.
And when you're able to get that kind of penetration, you really disrupt the timing, especially of offenses that are not like sustaining drives. They're very explosive.
Yeah.
One play, bang, we're on the board.
Right.
And I mean, you saw it with, that's how Hawkins, one of the 2 touchdowns that Louisville scored was a big run that Hawkins broke. So Pitt's defense is going to keep them in a lot of games with some really talented teams.
Yeah, and we'll see once they get tested by Miami and Clemson, and even North Carolina. When you get into these where it's not exactly a high octane offense, but where the offensive play calling I feel is a little bit better. I know Louisville. I'm not too big on their offensive play call. I think it's more due to their speed at the skill positions.
Yeah.
Than anything. I like Scott Satterfield as a coach, but I don't really think I think it's more talent based for their success. So we'll see what they turn into. But I want to get enough with the game talk, because I want to get into Zane. You posted a great article talking about your Big Ten predictions, and I know we're all excited to watch the Big Ten this year. It's going to be interesting.
So,
and I really want to hear you get into it.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I do the occasional article for Belly Up Sports. Great website, great company. They do podcasts and articles. I can recommend another college football podcast called The Blackout from their network. Phenomenal guys. That's a Pick'em pod. I'm a part of their Pick'em contest. But this is something I'm really excited about.
Okay.
And I have a couple of bold predictions in here. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to give you some of
Your big highlights.
The highlights that have gotten a little bit of blowback. So, starting out
The hot takes.
Minnesota. All right.
So you're very high on Minnesota this year.
I have Minnesota being undefeated and being the Big Ten West champs. I think
that's where you get blowback.
Not actually.
Really?
Not actually.
Oh,
So they're returning a very good team. I really like PJ Fleck. He's a great ball coach. Defensively, they lost their top 3 returning tacklers, but they really have a lot of depth and talent to fill those shoes. They have, their defense is still very experienced. Of all 11 positions, they only have one underclassman on the entire defense. So it's going to be a very experienced group. Their offense is still going to be explosive. I'm really excited to see what the Golden Gophers do this year.
Oh, and we're going to find out week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, with Michigan leading off the season against Michigan,
And I don't.
and no home field advantage, so it's going to be. I mean, no, I know it's at home, but there's not going to be any home field advantage with how the COVID shit is, and it's going to be interesting.
Now, I have them projected to go undefeated. However, there is one stretch where if they have a loss, it will be in this stretch right here. So those 4 games are 4 tough games back to back, and you may be looking at a couple of them
Even Nebraska.
and thinking, and you'll.
I know.
It's interesting that you say that because we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I am very high on Northwestern, and Purdue with Rondale Moore opting back in is huge. I think Purdue is a little bit of a trap game like they were for Ohio State back in 2018.
Okay.
So that is my pick to come out of the Big Ten West. Now here you mentioned it. Take a gander.
Oh, you got them going winless.
Yes.
Which, I mean,
It's the schedule. I like
I think they take Illinois, man.
I like the team. I think if the schedule composition was different, they would have a lot better chance. I would see them as maybe a 3-win team within the conference. But this schedule is just pretty much a death row because you have Ohio State, Wisconsin, Northwestern. I'm very high on this year, and you'll find out why here in just a second. Then they go into Penn State, and I mean, you end the year. Illinois is the one game I could see them winning.
Do you think Penn State's going to be really good this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, losing Micah Parsons is going to really hurt them, though.
Yes, it will. But we'll also get into that a little bit. So, Northwestern, this is my true sleeper pick for the Big Ten West. And the reason why is because they get grad transfer Peyton Ramsey from Indiana as the new starting quarterback for
Peyton Ramsey's up there now?
He transferred up this year as a
Hmm.
yeah, and that boy is a stud.
Yeah,
He's
good.
very good, and you throw him in with a Pat Fitzgerald-led team. I mean, I think that is and they're a very experienced group as well. They only have 3 starters on their defense that aren't seniors.
And that's Pat Fitzgerald's recipe. Okay, so like when for those who I know, a lot of the people that watch these videos are going to be Big Ten country, so they might understand this if they pay attention to football. But Pat Fitzgerald's like formula for his Northwestern team is I'm going to recruit. Have one really good recruiting cycle for Northwestern standards. I'm going to suffer through some freaking 4-win, 5-win seasons for 2 or 3 years, and then I'm going to have this team full of seniors and juniors, and then we're going to go out and freaking win nine games.
Yep.
That's just how they are. They grind up their experience, and then when that year hits, they hit it, and they're. I mean, I believe in it. It's not even just a Peyton Ramsey, but you telling me that there's only 3 people that aren't seniors on that offense, or is that defense? On that defense.
Their offense is very experienced as well. Now, I initially had them beating Purdue, and I was writing this article, and as I submitted it for editing to our editors, the Rondale Moore news broke, and I went back in, and I think Purdue will take that because not only do you have Rondale Moore, you also have David Bell, who is an explosive stud of a wide receiver opposite him, who's a tall, rangy receiver, a true red zone threat. So I think those 2 dynamic wide receivers.
Yeah, I want to hear how high you are in Purdue now.
I mean, I wasn't just want to skip over them, but I have Purdue as a 2-loss team. I have them going 6-2. I think they get some big wins starting out with Iowa, who lost their starting quarterback in Nate Stanley. He wasn't the best quarterback, but he was a very good quarterback. Well, not very good. He was a good quarterback. But I think they have a very easy schedule when you compare it to the rest of the conference. The only real competition is Northwestern, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, in my eyes.
Well, what's their defense look like, though?
And that's the thing where it's a little bit questionable because they lose their leading tackler in Ben Holt, but pretty much the rest of the defense is back. So I was pretty comfortable to give them some high praise and high expectations for myself, especially knowing that with just one stud at wide receiver and a questionable defense, they were able to dismantle and blow out a loaded Ohio State team. And now they have two very dynamic wide receivers and
Almost
a more
full returning
experienced
defense.
as
Yeah.
well as their entire defense pretty much coming back.
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable giving them a 6-win season within an 8-game schedule. Now, obviously, Wisconsin is also the other team. I have their only loss being to Minnesota.
Well, so the Big Ten West looks pretty good this year. Typically, they're
Yes.
a big step below the Big Ten East.
Yes. So, in terms of the Big Ten East, you have your usual, and we aren't going to get into all of these, just some of the more notable
Let's hear
selections.
your Michigan. I want to see your Michigan.
Michigan, I have them 4-4. Not just because I think they're a bad team, mainly because I think their schedule has them against 4 of the toughest teams in the Big Ten Conference. You have Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, and Ohio State. And I think they lose all of those 4 games. Those are the 4. They lose their 4 big games. That's my prediction for them.
Okay.
You think about their quarterback room, which is the big point, and you've been harping on this last week with your Jim Harbaugh. You're on notice talking about your quarterback room. Shea Patterson's gone. Dylan McCaffrey opts out, transfers out. You're left with Joe Milton, and what depth do you have if Milton goes down?
Yeah.
So that is a big concern.
And you know, going back on that, you know, I get that these are weird times and everything, but if you're this great elite coach, fucking prove it. You know, come out and show us how great you are, because I mean the schedule looks pretty brutal now that I'm really looking at it, and it's weird for me to sit here and think that a Michigan team could go 500.
Yeah, and I think this is a season where Harbaugh has to steal at least 2 of these big games in order to retain his job.
He's going to have to steal the Minnesota-Wisconsin games, because I don't see him beating Penn State or Ohio State.
So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about Little Brother. I think they have a really bad year with the only win being Rutgers. They are kind of devastated in terms of talent.
Well, that, and you got Mel Tucker coming in on his first season, and
he came in late
in a COVID-ridden
and he was hired really late.
Yeah.
So not only that, but you lose pretty much all of your defensive leaders. You lose Kenny Willekes, Tyreek Thompson, and Joe Bocci. So that is big time losses. Then you get into Penn State. I think Penn State is going to do Penn State things. Their only loss is going to be to Ohio State in week 2 in my mind, and I think that's going to be a really close game. I think that's within a 2-score game.
You sure they can beat Rutgers?
No. So, I do believe that...
Rutgers, please tell me you have them on one list.
Yes, of course.
Oh, for 3 straight seasons.
Yep. Yeah. So that's no surprise. And then Ohio State, of course, I have them. They're just loaded. I get into some of the guys I expect to really step up and take over at their respective positions. But that's kind of an expectation this year. In terms of the Big Ten Championship, obviously 2 8-0 teams. I have Minnesota and Ohio State meeting in Indianapolis, with Ohio State taking that. Now the question is, what does a 9-0 undefeated Big Ten champ make it into the Big Ten playoff? And at the time of me writing this article, I wasn't sure. But with the Big 12 looking the way it's looking, I think they will if no games get canceled because of COVID. If any of the games, especially the big games for either Minnesota or Ohio State, get canceled due to COVID concerns, then I think we may have some issues getting a Big Ten team into the Big Ten playoff. But those are my Big Ten predictions. If you guys would like to check out my article, I also have a couple of other articles on Belly Up. It is bellyupsports.com. You can do Belly Up Sports /author Zane Chapelier or Z Chapelier and find all my articles. But
and we'll get some links put in the description for you guys, so you guys
can check out our social media and stuff too. You guys will be able to find
so all of that's in here, and I want to hear what you boys have to say. What are your thoughts on those kind of my little bold takes here?
Well, so I personally, I mean, we talked about it a little bit week one. I'm not as high as you are on Minnesota. I think they take a step back. I want them to prove me wrong though, because I'd like to see that extra competition come out of the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of seeing Wisconsin every year. I feel like Wisconsin's always in it in the conference championship because the Big Ten West has been so weak. But now that you've got Purdue on the rise, Minnesota on the rise, I just want to see Minnesota do it 2 years in a row before I'm willing to sit here and put my weight on them. To me, I still feel like Wisconsin will take it, just because I mean it's a matter of freaking.
Yeah,
It's a ritual, dude.
when-
I want to get high on these other teams, but Wisconsin always gets it done.
And the thing is that you have to take into consideration is the schedule composition, right? So Minnesota has a really difficult 4-game streak. When you look at Wisconsin, they really don't have. They have a 3-game streak of tough opponents. They have Michigan, Northwestern, and Minnesota. And that's the reason why I have them losing to Minnesota, because it's the 3rd game of that 3-game streak. I think just at Michigan, at Northwestern, and then you finally get home and you have a pretty explosive Minnesota team. I think that's what gives Minnesota the edge in my eyes. Even though Minnesota does have that tough 4-game stretch, it's not. It depends on how high you are on like your Michigans, your Purdue's, and your Iowa. Because I don't think Iowa's going to be that tough. I think if you can bracket Rondale Moore and the passing threat for Purdue, you'll come out of there with a win, and then you come into go into Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's coming out of 2 much tougher games. That's kind of my thought point at what drives that kind of prediction.
Yeah. No.
I just, because God bless it, and I really don't want to sound offensive when I say this, and we all know the reason why, but we don't have that Big Ten Ohio State Michigan rivalry like we used to anymore.
No.
We still, like, it's there, it exists, we still talk shit, we still throw the middle finger up, but like,
See,
it's not the same right now, right?
and
So like,
the reason is Michigan doesn't care about the rivalry near as much as we do.
Right.
We're still hardcore fuck Michigan. I don't want to see you succeed at anything you do.
yeah, but then we don't get it back.
Yeah.
And it's ruining it, right? I want to see a rivalry between. I want to see that kind of rivalry between Minnesota and Wisconsin. I want to see them throwing the middle finger
Well,
up.
actually,
I want to
you're
see
looking
them
at the wrong
talking more
two
about
teams.
shit.
I think what's going to develop into more of a rivalry is Ohio State Penn State. It's already a rivalry game, but
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to get because
Yeah, I'm
Penn
just
State's-
talking. Yeah,
because Penn State's more competitive.
But-
Right,
That's what
but
Big Ten rivalry
He's
is.
talking on the
I'm talking
other
about-
on the
side
other
of the
side.
board.
I get
yeah.
you.
I'm talking
get
about.
you.
And I'm talking about from like a territorial war,
Yeah.
just like we did with Michigan. I wanted them to dive deep into some stuff here.
Side by side, baby.
Yeah, they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like, and at the same time, like, from living up in Wisconsin and hearing the way that people talk about the 2 different states, like, you know, Wisconsin kind of talks shit about people from Minnesota, and I know Minnesota kind of probably talks shit about people from Wisconsin.
For sure.
I want to see some shit. Like, I want some more fun in this conference, man. Like, bring it back, because right now, us Buckeye fans are fucking bored. So, Wisconsin and Minnesota, let's spark some shit. I'm gonna start tweeting some stuff whenever I see anything possible, because I want to initiate some like real rivalry type stuff between this, because I want to see it. I want to see some spark.
Absolutely. So those are my Big Ten picks. With that, let's talk about this new AP Top 25, because there is some shoddy. Like, how in the hell do you even come up with some of these fucking rankings? This is absurd.
Now, I know you're probably being the Big Ten guy. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's a lot
you're-
of Big Ten guys that are offended at the moment too.
I'm
Not
not.
just
No,
yourself.
I'm not upset about the Big Ten placements, because we haven't played yet.
Right.
And so I don't expect them to just put Ohio State back at number 2 just because we're a talented team.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is, how is Georgia at number 4 after the performance they just had?
That's true.
How is Texas in the top 10 after the performance they just had?
I agree.
I mean, some of these, you look at, we're going to get into a game here a little bit later.
Go put that shit on the screen.
You have Memphis, who's played 1 game, ranked 25th. They're playing SMU, who's 3-0 and is unranked.
Yeah.
Where How do you come up with these rankings? So just real quick, the top 25 for those that are listening and not watching: Clemson number 1, Bama 2, Florida, Georgia, Notre Dame rounds out your top 5. Ohio State at 6, Auburn, Miami, Texas, and Penn State is your top 10. UCF, North Carolina, Texas A&M, Oregon, and Cincinnati comes in at 15. Then Mississippi State, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, and LSU drops to 20. And then Tennessee, BYU, Michigan, Pitt, and Memphis rounds out your top 25.
Well, like I'd even go to.
Okay,
why
so
is Notre
let's-
Dame a top 5 team? They barely scraped out a win against Duke. Really, I mean, yeah, the points wise, it looked a lot better. But honestly, it looked like Duke was almost upset them.
I think let's start from like the teams that we know should not be in this. And
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
stick to the top 10.
Oklahoma needs to drop.
Yep.
What was
Texas.
Texas needs to drop.
Yep.
Notre Dame,
Notre Dame needs to drop a little bit,
not too much.
not too much.
Not out of the
I
top
think
10.
Georgia
Yeah, Notre
needs
Dame's
to
still
drop.
top 10.
I think Notre
Georgia-
Dame needs to be above Georgia.
Georgia needs to drop a little bit. Notre Dame needs to be above that.
I'm happy with the top 3 right now. Florida played a good game.
Yeah.
And with the Big Ten not playing yet, I'm happy with them. I'm okay with them being at the 3 spot because they are a talented team, and they ended up adding on to the score later.
Mhm.
But I think Miami should be above Georgia. And
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely,
a guy that
100%.
I'm a
You
guy
got
that
Georgia
grew up.
Homer too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a guy that grew up with a English bulldog named Uga.
Yeah.
All right, I've always supported Georgia, even though I'm a Buckeye kid from Columbus. First off, those uniforms, those new uniforms are ugly as shit. The white jerseys with the red pants. Fucking get rid of it. Go back to the classic. Don't fuck with tradition. And get your shit together, because that was not acceptable. They need to be lower. They need to be around the 8, 9, 10 spot.
Oh, I just look at these and you're like, so you're telling me that if you saw, because I need to get closer so I can see this. So you're telling me that if you saw Miami play Georgia, you don't think Miami's winning that fucking football game?
Right now, yeah. I think
Miami's
winning
100%
it.
winning that football game. So that's bullshit. Like, and you see where this is coming from. This is why I hate the fact that there's people behind this that are going to 100% kick American Conference and Sun Belt conferences to the side.
And the thing is, though, is like the computer system with the BCS
It's
wasn't any
bullshit.
better.
It's
So,
bullshit.
It's stupid, and like this is just really, really bad rankings. I mean, you have Mississippi State beats LSU, and they damn near jump into the top 15 from LSU was way overinflated at the number 4 spot, and the AP, they aren't even in the AP top 25 anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hell, the coaches poll has them at 17 still. But it's just, I don't understand how they compile these rankings, and this is why I really lack respect for the sports media.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes to show that like there's so many people are so full of shit. Now we're sitting up here doing our own little fucking thing, like talking the shit that we want to talk.
Yeah.
But like, you base this off of performance. This is bullshit. Like this is guys just talking out their ass, just like we are right now. But we're allowed to call shit out when we see it. And Georgia, that's bullshit. Texas, that's bullshit.
LSU,
Bullshit.
that's bullshit.
Like,
Oh, no, they are in there. They're at fucking 20. That's right. They dropped to 20 in the AP.
yeah, but like, where's the love for Mississippi State? Where are they at?
Well, they're at 16. But
Okay.
they go from unranked, and you jump them over 2-0 Oklahoma State. You damn near jump them over Cincinnati. You have Oregon, who hasn't played a game, still in there. I mean, granted, they have the Big Ten teams in there, but the Big Ten plays in 3 weeks. The Pac-12 doesn't start until November,
yeah.
and you're already throwing them in there. So there's just a lot of things that don't make sense in these AP top 25 polls, man.
It's stupid.
And it's no fault to these teams, but these teams that had to sit out, they better drop when they're not playing, or if they play these weak schools and don't put up a good showing, I better see some dropping, and I better not see that these teams still stay up. Like, I'm just going to use it as a hypothetical. I don't see this happening, but say Ohio State comes in week 1 of their season and struggles to
Against
get
Nebraska.
a win. They better not be staying up high just because we're big on the talent on the roster. Because I'm happy where Miami is. I'm not going to sit here and say Miami needs to be higher because Miami was unranked coming into the season. I am perfectly
Yeah.
okay with being a top 10 team right now. Let us prove it against Clemson,
Yeah.
and then go from there. I'm not big on. I don't like the Notre Dame pick in the top 5.
Yeah.
I think Auburn's too high. Personally, I think
Yeah.
Auburn's too high. But that's what
agree
these.
with
But
that.
that's what these pollsters do. Okay, I
They
know
spark
I'm about to piss
conversation
off.
and
Well,
stuff.
I'm about to piss off some SEC people. Okay. Because you guys always like to bring up this SEC dominance and how you got all these top 25 teams. Well, that's because the pollsters honestly put you guys fucking there, and they set you guys up for success. Because I don't understand why Auburn is 7th in the country, but it's going to put them there. So when they lose to Alabama, they're just going to drop 3 spots, and they're all going to hover in this top 10. You're going to have like 4 or 5 SEC schools because the pollsters put them there, and then they cannibalize each other, and they all stay right there.
See, I kind of
And then you guys go and choke against ACC teams.
I kind of disagree with
Yeah.
I kind of disagree with you on that. I like Auburn, and
Well, I know you're
the-
personally high on
they-
Auburn, but
they-
they shouldn't be there.
they beat a pretty damn good Kentucky team this week. Kentucky looked pretty
Kentucky's
solid,
yeah.
and I think Auburn's not one of the ones that I take issue with. I take issue with the Notre Dame, the Texas, the teams that they have played and have looked bad,
Yeah.
and you still have them. Like Notre Dame, I see as a top 10 team for sure. I don't see them as a top
Not as a
5
top
team.
5 though. Yeah.
No, I
No.
think they should be right beside Miami in that 8 to 10 spot.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, Clemson should be top 5. Alabama top 5. Ohio State should probably be top 5. Miami, yeah, I guess they're probably fine where they're at. But like, who else do you think we should fix it up on that top 5?
I don't think there's a clear cut. You have the top 4 right now, and you throw Ohio State in there because you kind of know what you get with them year after
Yeah.
year and how talented they are.
Even because let me look at you. Is Ohio State better than Notre Dame?
Yes.
Yes.
Is Ohio State better than Georgia?
Yes.
Yes.
Is Ohio State better than Florida?
Yes.
Is Ohio State better than Alabama?
Yes.
Is Ohio State better than Clemson?
We haven't beat them yet, but we'll see.
And I would pull the horses a little bit about the Alabama. Like, maybe. We don't know.
They
that
didn't
either.
look that great.
Okay.
They look better than I thought they would.
They looked better than
They
I
still
thought they
kicked
would.
the
but
shit out of them.
they
And
did-
Florida really surprised me, even though I picked them to win the SEC. I
So-
did not expect them to dominate as well they did.
Yeah.
But let's stop with the AP talk and really just I want to see a little bit more aggression this time. Okay.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's on notice?
I bet everybody's wondering who's on notice this week. So last week I went with Mr. Jim Harbaugh, and I'm actually staying in the coaching world. And honestly, this isn't gonna after this week, it's not gonna come as much of a surprise. But I really want to get into it. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab this Oklahoma helmet, and I'm talking about Lincoln fucking Riley. All right, and this doesn't just include this Kansas State loss, big guy.
That's right there. Sorry, camera.
This defense, okay? We've been talking about Oklahoma defense for since he
long.
was a head coach there.
Yeah.
I mean, even Bob Stoops put together solid defense, you know? And to me, something's got to change. This type of play, it's not going to work. There's no excuse to me. Oklahoma, you're a solid recruiting team. There isn't an excuse anymore on why you can't put together a solid defense. Like, I understand that you're playing these air raid offenses and whatnot, but there's ways to give up yardage but not points. And your team has an issue with giving up points. I'm not just going to get into your yardage. And this goes back to 2017. You guys, since 2017, have not ranked higher than 64th in the country on total defense. And you guys
Shit.
wonder why you can't win a playoff game. Okay? And I've got news for you. And I'm going on record right now. Lincoln Riley will never win a national championship.
Yeah, I can.
I'm
agree
on the
with
record right now. Lincoln Riley never wins a national championship. And actually, I'll go even better than that. Lincoln Riley will not be a head coach at Oklahoma in 4 years. It's not going to work. This fan base shouldn't deal with this. You know, don't be Michigan. Don't settle. But I want to go into it because last year was actually the best defense you guys have had in 4 years. And you were ranked 64th. And you averaged giving up 28 points a game.
that. That's pretty shitty.
Ugh. I mean, 2018, ranked 101st, giving up 33 points a game. 2017, ranked 68th, giving up 27 points a game. You just lost to a team that lost to Arkansas State the 2 weeks before.
And you want to know what Lincoln Riley's problem is? Because it's not his coaching. It's his ability to hire competent coaches and coordinators. His biggest issue right now is the fact that he hired fucking Alex Grinch.
Yeah.
That's his issue.
And
Alex Grinch is a plague.
Now, do you think that that's because he's more focused on the recruiting aspect of things?
No, I don't.
Like, is that guy a salesman, you think? Was that a salesman hire?
No.
Do you think?
No.
Okay.
He's more of an unknown anyways outside of coming into Ohio State.
Because you know what I'm
Oh.
getting at. Like, maybe
Yeah.
maybe he's putting together a staff that can recruit but not
No.
coach.
I don't think Alex Grinch is that great of a recruiter. Honestly, I think if the recruits he gets is because of the brands that he coaches
Say,
for.
bro,
Yeah.
I mean, it's Oklahoma. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you have a solid product.
It's
to sell.
Oklahoma.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, it's like Ohio State. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
But I mean, it's just Alex Grinch has been bad everywhere he's been, in my opinion. I mean, and that's has a little bit of Ohio State bias behind it. So
Right.
Well, like, and even it's it's not just that. I know it's just one game, but the dude was the number one quarterback in the country, and Spencer Rattler came out and threw 3 picks. I said it before the season started. I had a big question mark on Lincoln Riley about how he can develop quarterbacks because we haven't seen him develop a quarterback. It's a lot easier to take in these transfer guys that have 3 years experience who have been successful where they were at. Everybody knew what you were getting. We all knew what you were getting in Baker Mayfield. He showed flashes before he was the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. Kyler Murray as well. And then Jalen Hurts. Dude, you got to prove it. You got this number one quarterback. I get it, he's a true freshman, but coming out and throwing 3 picks against a terrible Kansas State team.
Yeah.
Let's see your development. I want to see it. I want to see this quarterback whisperer. I called out the other quarterback whisperer last week. I'll keep on rolling. I want to keep hearing these quarterback whispers because I don't believe in it.
Well,
And-
my only thing on you're talking about the ability to develop talent, and this kid is a freshman, and it was his first game,
Second
game. So it's going to take time to develop the talent into what those other quarterbacks were, because like you said, they come in, they're experienced, and they were older. They were a little bit more polished. So you got to give Spencer Rattler some time to develop.
Well, and like I said, I know he's a true freshman, and like I said, I'm putting the question mark there. I'm not saying
Yes.
that Lincoln Riley cannot develop a quarterback, but I'm putting the question mark there because we haven't seen it yet, and it's not looking good right now. That's not looking good right now.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, we've seen plenty of true freshmen come in and Trevor Lawrence and ball out against this terrible competition.
Tua Tagovailoa and
There's no excuse. If this was against Texas and he went 387, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, I'd be like, okay, he's a true freshman going up against Texas. You're going up against Kansas State, a team that has not been relevant since 2012.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they used to be a solid team, and they're not anymore. They lost to Arkansas State 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, man. And I'm telling you, it's not looking good in the future. Your next 4 games are Iowa State, Texas, TCU, and Texas Tech. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I were to predict Iowa State, that's a question mark. Because if you thought Kansas State's defense was tough for you, buddy, Iowa State's defense is a lot better than Kansas State.
And Iowa State's defense is predicated around stopping their pass.
And then you get your is it the Red River Showdown
Yeah.
with Texas?
Red River rivalry.
Red River rivalry.
Well, I think
against-
they changed the name to the Showdown. I don't
Whatever.
remember what
Who
the hell
ca-
they're
who
doing
gives a
with it
damn?
And
anymore.
that's just going to be a shitty defensive game.
I want to say it's an L, but I mean Texas can barely handle Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then TCU, I think you guys will handle TCU. And then you got Texas Tech, who almost upset Texas. So
You should have.
Yeah.
should have upset
Should've.
Texas.
They
You
gave
know,
that one up.
I'm not confident at all in Lincoln Riley's ability to fix this defense.
Yeah.
Ever. I feel like this is what you're looking at for Oklahoma, and it's unacceptable because if there's one team that can fix this Big 12 trend and finally put a defense together that would be able to stop it, it would be Oklahoma because they bring in the best talent in the conference.
Yeah.
Year in and year out. Stop recruiting 3 5-star wide receivers, the top quarterbacks. Go get some fucking defense.
Yeah, I agree.
It boggles me. I have not been. I like Lincoln Riley as he seems to be. He cultivates his players, captivates his players. and rallies his guys on offense. I just haven't seen it from a full team, man. It boggles my mind. This Oklahoma is an enigma to me. I just don't get it. I don't get how you can be okay with the style of play. I don't understand how anybody can be a fan of the Big 12.
Yeah.
Overrated.
It is. And I'm putting Lincoln Riley on notice, man. Like, I think you're an overrated coach. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
So that's who I'm putting on notice this week.
Awesome. Well, with that put out there and behind us, let's go ahead and talk about some of the games coming up in Week 5. So we already talked about this one briefly, but you have number 25 ranked Memphis going against SMU, who is 3-0. And this is a game that I'm really interested to see because Memphis came out and they played Arkansas State in that Week 1 game. And they beat Arkansas State, who we now know is a pretty solid team. They're a good team. They beat Kansas State, who we were just talking about. And now we know just how good the Sun Belt really is. You have to watch out for Coxie. He's a stud receiver. But SMU has a lot of talent too. They're fucking 3-0, and that's the thing that I think is going to give the edge is just how much playing time at game speed SMU has over Memphis right now.
I think that this is going to be a pretty interesting game too. But what I expect from this game is that SMU has a decent defense generally, and Memphis has generally a pretty solid offense, and that's one thing that I think was the demise, and I'm basing all of this off of my knowledge from what I've seen last season when Cincinnati played Memphis twice and we lost both times. And their defense was really what kind of just gave us trouble, and their offense was able to execute. But going against SMU, SMU's schedule starting off, it's not like those games seemed like anybody that was notable or really tough.
No,
but that's good warm up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now I don't think they've had any injuries. I don't know, but I don't think they have. And because of that, these guys are going to come out rolling. Like, they're hot, I think. And Memphis has got one win under their belt. That was a decent win, and I think that this is going to be an interesting matchup. I can't really choose who I think is going to win this one.
Do you want to do our picks while we're talking about these games coming up?
Yeah. We'll make the picks as we go through. I think that's the right thing to do.
So now you're being held to it, buddy.
Okay, that's fine. I'll pick. I'm probably if I had to choose, I'm probably gonna go ahead and choose SMU. But that's just because I don't like Memphis. Never have, never will. Whenever we played Memphis at Cincinnati, it was always a bit of a dogfight, and there was always some shit talk. We never got along with those guys. So I'm gonna go SMU.
All right. So Darby, what's your take on this one?
Well, I think coming into this, I think SMU's at a big advantage. I'm with you on thinking that SMU should be ranked instead of Memphis.
Yes.
They've had more time to get the kinks worked out. I think they're going to be way more fresh than Memphis is. I'm taking SMU. I'm already sold on it. I like their offense. And I think just the big thing is having 3 games under your belt versus just 1. I think that's going to be a huge, huge deal.
So here's where I'm at on it. SMU, their first 3 games were Texas State, who we know is a solid ball club. That's another one of those Sun Belt teams that really came out and showed out. North Texas, and then they just played fucking SF Austin. Yeah, Stephen F. Austin. And they won 50-7 in that game. So they are really rolling.
They've worked out almost all of their kinks, I feel like.
My thing for them is, can they stop the firepower offensively that Memphis has? So their defense only has 7 sacks this season. I say only, that's still a good amount of sacks for 3 games, but that's also against lesser competition. So you throw that in there, and the turnovers are going to be key. You look at the turnovers that SMU's had so far. They've had 3 interceptions, and
You're talking about on the defense side, right?
yeah, and 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. That's pretty solid, but I'm just not sure that defensively they're going to be able to stop the two big receivers for Memphis and Coxie, and I'm blanking on the other one. Or it's Coxie and Dykes. So Sean Dykes and DeMonte Coxie. So those two guys are both NFL caliber receivers.
Yeah.
And SMU, while they have more game speed and more game experience, the fuck just happened here?
Your Discord just popped up? Is that what that is?
Okay. Yeah, that was weird. Don't know why that happened. But I think that Memphis is too talented for SMU. I think it'll be a close game, and Memphis is going to make a couple mistakes. But I think Memphis wins in a tight one, man.
I think Memphis is not going to be disciplined enough. I think Memphis is going to shoot themselves in the feet with penalties.
And I can see that.
They do that. They're known for that.
Yeah.
And they love to talk shit.
And it's a new coach.
And also
Mike
true.
Norvell's not
So
there
their discipline, because of the new coach, may not be quite there. I think Memphis is going to shoot themselves in the foot a few times. They're going to have some turnovers, and they're going to have some penalties that are going to set them back and be game-changing penalties. And I think SMU is going to run away with it. That's my take. Because I just know how Memphis is. They're dogs. They play hard, and they compete. But I don't think they're that disciplined. And only having one game under their belt, and SMU having 3, SMU is going to come into that game disciplined, ready to go. And it's all. I think penalties might be a setback for Memphis.
Yeah, and I could see that, but I still think the talent level is a little too much in favor of Memphis. So with that one said, let's move on and take a look at Louisiana Tech and BYU. Now, I think we all know where this one is going. LA Tech is 2-0, but it's against nobodies. And
A bunch of dads.
And they've had one of them, Southern Miss, was a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
They won on a last-second touchdown, toe tap at the back of the end zone. And we know what BYU is capable of.
Yep.
So I believe the spread right now is 22 in favor of BYU. I'm going to go ahead and say that they will cover that shit with ease.
Yeah.
I think they're going to put it on LA Tech.
I think so too. I think BYU is just hands down the most disciplined football team that we might watch this year. And on top of that, their run game, their run defense is just phenomenal. They have
fucking Mormons.
it's a bunch of 27-year-olds, but like, and on top of the fact that, like I said, like they have a solid nose tackle, they have a solid linebacker core, and they've always been known for their linebacker core. But now with they have some solid dudes on their defensive line, and I think that this defense is just going to continue to shut dudes out because that's what they've been doing continuously. Their 48-7 win against Troy, I mean, that just tells you how good their defense is. Now, it's Troy, okay?
But look what they did to Navy game 1.
Yeah, like that.
5-3?
Yeah, like their defense is solid, and Navy realized that they needed to step things up. Navy had to step some things up. Clearly, they weren't ready, but BYU is aggressive. They hit hard. They get you in the mouth. They cover their holes, and they're very disciplined. I think BYU definitely runs away with that game.
Yeah. Darby, what's your take, man?
Well, I'm in favor of BYU. I'm actually not in favor of them covering the spread. I don't think it'll be that big of a blowout.
Really?
No, I think LA Tech will hold its own offensively. I don't think it's gonna be a close game. I think it'll be double digits, but I wouldn't say 22. I think it's gonna be more in 2 touchdown range. But I do think I'm very confident BYU taking that game.
All right. Well, let's move on to the question from this week. Texas. They're playing Texas Christian, TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Another in-state game. TCU is going to be fired up for it. And, man, I got to take Texas with this, but I don't know. I have some big concerns.
What was TCU's schedule so far? Who
So
scores?
they've only played Iowa State, and it
Okay.
was 37-34. They won a tight one.
Lost.
Okay.
Or lost a tight one, my bad.
Isn't TCU generally like they're usually respected for their defense, aren't they?
No, they have
Maybe in the past. Maybe
they
I'm
have
thinking
big
old TCU.
talent, but they always lose
They're
games.
typically known for their skill positions.
Yes.
Like their
Okay.
wide receivers and running backs. Is what
Okay.
they're really known for.
Then yeah, I don't really know. I think Texas still wins. I think Texas is going to work out some of their kinks from their
Yeah.
game, I think Texas is going to fix a lot of shit. I think they're aware of the stuff that they need to fix after this previous game. And I don't. That's tough. But I'm gonna say Texas wins. And what's the spread on that?
I don't know what the spread is on this
Okay,
one.
did not have that up yet.
No,
Okay.
because I don't think they. Not all the games. The
Yeah.
spread for all the games are out yet. So.
Okay. No, I have Texas winning it.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas too. Mainly because I'm not high on TCU this year at all.
Yeah. I think Texas wins, and I think it's by at least 3 scores, man. I think they're going to get some. Because, I mean, you look at their last game, Sam Ehlinger still had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So their offense is going to move. And I'm not that impressed with TCU's offense. I think Texas's defense is going to be able to get a lot more stops. So that's kind of what I expect from Texas and TCU. But let's move on to what's the next one we got on?
I want to lead off with this one.
Okay, let me.
Texas A&M versus Alabama. I got Texas A&M pulling off the upset.
Whoa!
Yep. I'm taking A&M over Alabama.
Oh!
I think this
Okay.
is going to be your first big SEC cannibalize thing. I think this.
You see that week 1 result, right?
I get that. I'm still taking Texas A&M.
Really?
Dude, I'm telling you, Alabama when it comes to... So, when you give me Alabama versus Texas A&M versus Auburn, I like those two, man. I like the 2 upsets. Even though I'm not that high on them, I feel it. I feel it in me bones. This is going to be an upset.
Okay.
I have Bama. I'm gonna take Bama.
I have Bama.
I'm gonna be safe about it.
Dude, all right. This is another rank that I have a gripe with now that I'm actually looking at it. A&M beat Vandy 17-12. That's Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
17-12. Bama's going to win this with ease. Ease. 3 touchdowns. 21 points. More, maybe. Bama is going to roll Tide.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll be seeing who roll tides next week.
Dixieland Dwight, let's get it going.
A&M, find me a song to play when you guys win.
Good. They ain't gigging them. I can tell you that much. Holy shit, that was out of left field. I was not expecting
what's funny
that.
is, I'm about to be on a roll because guess what? I've got Boston College with the upset over North Carolina.
Well,
Okay.
you're a little late to the party, pal. Yes, Boston College, I'm right there with you. Jeff Hafley is going to have that team ready. Now, they didn't perform as well as I would have liked them to see against Texas Tech. But like I said, Texas Tech is actually a solid ball club. That's another one of those Sun Belt schools that plays really close with the big boys. I think... Actually, I can't say I think Boston College wins. But, Luke, you take this over. I gotta think about this one a little bit.
You guys remember week 1, the first time we did our recording, what I said about Boston College and how ignorant that was?
Yes.
I don't know why I did it, but now I'm sticking to it, all right? I'm going Boston College, okay? I don't know what it is, but I've always liked Boston College for some reason, and that's just from previous when I was in high school watching them play, and when I was in college and still watching them play. They've always been a team that's, like, kind of surprises people, so I'm going to go Boston College.
Well, so
just a hunch.
Go ahead.
It's Boston College has played better than I thought they would so far.
Yes.
It's more due to I am not so, and I've been saying it since before the season. I am not that high on North Carolina. I think they're extremely overhyped, and they didn't show me it against Syracuse. Okay. Again, it was only 21-6, dude.
I know.
Only 21-6. This is that North Carolina team that everybody said was every analyst you listen to. That's my sleeper pick in the ACC to go over top Notre Dame.
Well,
bullshit.
My thing is I think this is really difficult for me. I think this is going to be one of the closest games of the weekend. Of the games that we have on our list, I think this is going to be a really tightly contested game. But again, I'm with you. I have to kind of stick with my gut and my preseason pick. And I got to take North Carolina in a tight one. I think Howell is going to get it going finally. Now, I would have liked to see their game against, Charlotte, not get canceled. But so they would have had 2 games under their belt. But I still think North Carolina will take this one.
very tight. I think 7 to 3 points. I think it's a one-score ball game. I just gotta stick with my gut and North Carolina, and I have faith in Mr. Mack.
All right. Okay.
So who we got next? Oh, I see who we got
Yep.
next.
Yep.
Luke, go ahead and lead on this one, Bubba.
UC takes away the USF. UCF or USF. Sorry, not UCF. USF. USF is 1-2. UC is 2-0. I think UC is going to pull this one away.
Whew.
But at the same time, I think that this is going to be an interesting battle yet again. Like, this is going to be another game where Cincinnati is going to come into it, and they're not going to come out firing all pistons. Now, I'd love for them to surprise me. I would love to see them coming out just firing away and running up the tables, but I don't think that's how the game's going to go. I think it's going to be a pretty evened out battle, and I think it's going to go back and forth, and then I think you're going to see probably coming into like third quarter and fourth quarter, they're going to kind of start to separate themselves.
Are you losing faith?
Dude, nope, because I'm
No,
going to be your
I'm not.
fucking hype man right now. I've got Cincinnati winning by over 20 points. Easy. So I think this is going to be the game that Cincinnati finally gets their shit figured out and really starts to show us what the hype was coming into the season. I mean, dude, USF got blanked by Notre Dame, okay?
Yeah.
This is that game, you know,
Look at
I
week
can
one.
respect...
Look
I
at
can-
week one.
I
Yeah.
understand the Army game, and we can go back to the week before, but the Army game especially wasn't what we thought it would be in terms of I know you thought there'd be more.
Yeah.
Army's a tough game.
Yeah.
They're a tough team defensively, or to put shit together offensively against, just because of how their defense works. They're a tough team.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've seen Ohio State struggle against Navy and Army in the past,
Yeah.
early on, and then get it rolling.
Mhm.
But I really do think that this USF team's gonna get blanked
Yeah.
by you guys.
And-
Okay.
Easy.
I hesitate because
I understand.
once again, like I watch our defense guys, and we're not flying around and fucking people up yet. We're not
Yeah.
there yet. We didn't do that to Army like we could have. You know, you guys saw like we were able to stop them and hold them after like a prolong because Army kind of just ran themselves into the dirt a little bit because they got tired because we were still holding them to 3 yards almost every play. But still, regardless of that, they're not that fast. Army's not fast.
This-
USF is fucking fast. They have fast football players.
This is.
But-
I understand why you have your concerns. You're very critical because they're your team,
Yeah.
and you're very critical of them. However, with that said,
I don't want to overhype it. I don't want to.
this isn't overhyping you. USF beat the Citadel. They only put 27 points up on the Citadel. You guys, your defense only gave up 3 points to Army. All
You're
right, you guys, whether you're flying to the ball or not, it's a very bend don't break defense, and those you can give up a lot of yards, but as long as you aren't giving up the touchdowns, which so far you haven't, even against some good competition,
Yeah.
you're going to have success. I'm with Darby. I think this is at least a 3-score game, and Cincinnati really gets it going. I think Cincinnati's defense still bends, don't break, and Ritter finally gets it going, starts hitting his spot with the ball, and doesn't have the inaccuracy issues that he's had thus far. And I think he's going to have a clean pocket the entire game.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about that at all. This is a game I think Cincinnati wins easily.
This will get
And-
their confidence rolling and get them really
Yeah,
rolling
And
in.
really, I think that this is going to be one of those games where that Cincinnati uses to build momentum going into these next 2 weeks are going to be really some confidence builders to get them into the meat of their schedule.
Right. I hesitate so much, fellas, because I do not want to set myself up for massive disappointment and end up feeling like an idiot. And like
Well, we
I
got
know-
you.
I appreciate that, fellas. I think we can do it too, and I love the hype that you guys build into it, and I hope it's 100% correct. I think, the more we talk about it, then yeah, I could see us beating USF by 20 points. I think we're definitely capable of doing that. I know we're capable of doing that. I just pray to God that we stay disciplined, don't shoot ourselves in the foot, and don't give up stupid turnovers. If we can do that, then yeah, there's no doubt in my mind we put up 20 or more.
Yeah. So let's go on to a big ranked matchup, Auburn and Georgia. So I'm going to take the lead on this one.
I know where you're going with it.
Yep.
This is a game that I'm going to have a lot of fun watching it. It's probably going to hurt. I hope Georgia has the old uniforms on when they come out of the tunnel. But
Is it at Georgia?
It's at Georgia.
They'll be in those ugly
But
black ones.
Yeah, the ones with the dog teeth.
With the dog teeth. How retarded are you guys?
Fucking awful. But Georgia only beat Arkansas 37-10. They did not look impressive. It didn't look clean. It was game 1, but it's still fucking Arkansas. You got to perform better than that. Auburn, Darby, you said you weren't impressed with them. I think they played really well against a solid Kentucky team. And I think Kentucky is going to be one of those sneaky teams that can pull off an upset here and there throughout the year.
Well, don't get me wrong. I picked Kentucky over Auburn. Okay,
as much as it hurts me, I'm going to take Auburn this week. I don't think Georgia is going to have their shit together in time. I think Auburn looked a lot more clean. I like Bo Nix It hurts. I don't like it, but I gotta go with Auburn, man.
I'm keeping faith in the talent, and I'm taking Georgia. I think that in terms of talent gap, I think Georgia's far ahead of Auburn. I actually think it'll be an insanely close game. I think it's going to come down to it's going to be one of those last possession games. It'll probably be a field goal or touchdown wins it.
Something you have to take into account is all of the reports and the locker room issues within that program that have been coming out recently. There have been shit ton of reports about racism within the program and the staff.
It's all negative stuff.
And kids not being happy or comfortable or feeling safe within the program. That shit is going to eat them alive. It's not good. And I think that is going to be a huge issue for the Bulldogs.
They're not going to be focused on their game. They're going to be focused on trying to stay together.
Yeah.
And that's hard to win a football game when you're trying to focus on being together as a unit.
And
over who you're playing.
I don't like where things are trending for Georgia, man. I think that's Auburn's too good of a team. You're coming off of an ugly win. You have a bunch of toxic shit within the program that kids are dealing with. I don't see it. Luke?
Yeah, I take Auburn. I think same thing with a program that's completely distracted about trying to take care of each other and stay together as a unit. I'm hoping, I would assume that that's hopefully the coach's focus this week. It should be before they even really prepare for this football game. Otherwise, the preparation isn't going to do anything because as soon as they hit adversity in the game against Auburn, they're going to fucking collapse.
Yeah.
And, when that happens, Auburn's just going to ride away into the sunset with the W because Georgia right now, I don't know what the fuck the deal is. I don't know if it's the coaching staff. I don't know where the toxicity is coming from, but I think they're going to eat themselves alive unless they really take the time to focus on fixing each other this weekend and then somehow can focus on getting a game ready, getting a game plan ready for who they've got. Because Auburn's going to bring it. And
Georgia has a fucking tough stretch of a schedule. I don't think Georgia ends the season ranked at all. Because they have Auburn this week, Tennessee next week, then Bama, then Kentucky, then Florida. Then they have Missouri, Mississippi State, and then they have SC and Vandy to end the year. But I think Georgia may be a 3 to 4 loss team by the end of the year with all of the locker room issues that are going on.
I think so too.
But let's get into our last pick for the week.
Oklahoma, Iowa State. Obviously, Oklahoma coming off of a huge letdown loss. Iowa State coming off of
a good win. Darby, what is your take here on Oklahoma and Iowa State? Because I have a feeling I know which way you're going with it.
Iowa State, he says.
I'm taking Iowa State. Typically, I like bounce back games with big teams, but I'm actually going to go on record. I think Spencer Rattler's going to throw 3 interceptions again, and that's going to be the catalyst to them losing. I just feel, based off what I saw against Kansas State, man, I really think Iowa State's got a solid defense, and I'm big on this upset. I think Iowa State takes it.
I have to disagree with your upset pick once again. I think this is going to be the bounce back game for Spencer Rattler and Oklahoma. Whereas Iowa State, I like to root for them. After the loss to Louisiana and barely squeaking out the win against TCU, I'm not impressed.
I get that, but Oklahoma just lost to a team that lost to Arkansas State.
Yeah, and this is a team that lost to Louisiana.
I get that. That's what I'm saying.
Like, so that kind of, those two are, I don't think that matters. I think Iowa State is not talented enough to hang with Oklahoma. It's going to turn into a shootout, and Oklahoma has overwhelmingly the more talented and explosive offense.
Well, but when it comes to shootouts, if it truly does come down to a shootout,
Who's got the better defense?
who's got the better defense?
Oklahoma.
Iowa State.
Who's got the quarterback that throws a shit ton of interceptions so far? I mean, all I can go off
That's
is last year
one
or last
game.
week. I get that, but as
You
a
just
true
gotta be
freshman,
rattled.
it's a confidence thing, dude.
Iowa State's defense couldn't do shit against Louisiana. I know Louisiana, we love them, but that's still, they still gave up 34 to TCU, and they gave up 31 against Louisiana. They're giving up 30 points minimum a game right now. And you look at, they scored 37 last week. They only scored 14 against Louisiana. That is not good. I still think that overwhelmingly the offensive firepower is in favor, and the talent overall is in favor of Oklahoma. Oklahoma has the more talented players, and whether the defensive scheme or whatever is going on defense, the talent is going to be overwhelming for Iowa State. I don't see Iowa State winning it.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Darby. I think Oklahoma's overrated. I think...
Oh, I'm not saying
No.
they aren't overrated. I'm just saying they're going to win this game.
Okay, I think Iowa State's going to win because generally I know that this is a pretty solid game in terms of what we've seen years past. And because of that, I think that Iowa State's going to come out with a solid game plan again because that's what happened in years past when everyone thought Oklahoma was going to run the tables on Iowa State. Iowa State still came out with a solid game plan and they executed it, and they blew a lot of people away when they did what they did against Oklahoma. And I think they're going to do the same things. It's the same fucking coaching staff. I think they're going to still put together a solid game plan, and they're going to come out and do something that's going to be unexpected.
So,
And they're going to do good. I think they're going to be okay,
well,
regardless of talent. Because Iowa State's recruiting has also gone up, but that's going to take a couple years. But I mean, they've been there for a little while. I think Iowa State's still got some good talent on their team.
this is going to be interesting because we're going to have to lock these picks in this week, and I think it's going to be we differ on a lot of picks, and I think this is going to be a good week for me to pull away. So the standings right now are, for last week, I had 9 games, Luke had 7 games, and Darby had 5 games. So
Not a good week for me. But I'm going to bounce back this week with my upset picks and come close.
I think I'm going to continue to pull away because I do not see it. And we'll see. We're going to be here Saturday watching on all 4 screens, and it will be a fun time.
Well, this is a perfect segue point. We've got an entirely new segment planned for this week, and we're going to call it What's Got You Dialed Up.
You
and
guys
this goes...
keep going. I'm going to go grab something real quick.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
keep going.
Oh,
I'll be
shit.
right back.
All right. So, this whole thing, it doesn't have to be sports related. It can be whatever. Just give us a chance and you guys a chance to comment and kind of drop what's got you dialed up this week. What's going on in your life that's got you excited. Unfortunately, this week, because he kind of rung my bell here, so I'm like, this is like a perfect segue point for what I was going to say. But what's got me dialed up is Miami doesn't play, so I get to hang out Saturday and just watch football. I haven't really had a good Saturday where I've gotten to watch all the games, and hopefully I don't work and I'll be able to actually pay attention to all the games and hang out and drink some brew.
Yeah.
And really watch my upset picks and me pull into tying with Zane.
Yeah.
On the leaderboard.
That ain't going to happen.
I see what's got Mr. Callahan over here dialed up.
Before we get to that,
Yeah.
so what's got me dialed up is the wifey starts her new job. She's going to be using her degree. Got her new job at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And she's finally graduated, no stress. She's going on her last 2 shifts of her old job, and then she starts her new job on the 5th. So we're excited about that. That's what got me excited. and finally starting to get there, finish out the school, and get moving on with our lives.
Yeah.
Now,
Congrats.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff.
Now let's get into Mr. Luke
Right.
Callahan.
For the love of God, for everything that I believe and hoping for right now, can we please figure out how to keep this man alive? For everything that is holy, for everything that matters, if this guy leaves, we're fucked. We're already kind of
No,
fucked.
that if he gets hurt.
If he gets hurt, he's leaving. Like you can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes after every series.
Straight up, bro.
He's
not
just
having a good
no,
time.
straight up, dude, not having a good time. Like he's already pulling out his phone, being like, what are you guys doing later? Because I don't even want to be here right now, and I can't blame the guy for fuck's sake. 73, you suck. 53, you suck. 74, fuck, dude. Like, pull it together, boys. And like, if you're not, then get the fuck out. Like, get somebody else in there, because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing Joe Burrow being sick and tired. Like, I can't watch anymore because I don't want to lose him, because we've seen he's the superhero of the Bengals right now, and he's alone right now. He's constantly fighting for his life, and I fucking hate watching it. We need something. We need someone, for the love of God, get in there and help this guy out. Our running backs, even. You guys step up sometimes and do pass pro. We'll have a 6-man pass pro going on with the sort and the slide, and still dudes are fucking just not giving a shit. And it's tough. He's a captain of the football team. Protect his ass. I'm getting sick of it. I need him to stay alive. And so that I can still wear this jersey and not have to worry about his funeral.
Be afraid that someone's gonna come hit you too.
Yeah, like just wearing this jersey, I feel like someone's gonna come and just knock me out in a dark alley. Like, fuck.
But so that's gonna wrap up this week's segment. But please, if you guys watch, give us a comment. Tell us what's got you guys dialed up. We can probably give somebody a shout out. Probably the best one we can maybe get into.
We'll pin you.
Next week. We'll go ahead and give you guys a shout out on our next one. And don't forget that we got Instagram, Twitter. We'll post all the links in the description. Smash the like button, subscribe, share our shit, get us out there. We're just excited
give us
to
some
talk some
constructive criticism. We're just starting this. This is our 4th episode, only the 3rd one that's going on to the YouTube because of technical difficulties.
Yeah, and the second one was actually really good too.
Yeah, so
you missed me going in.
But give us some constructive criticism. We'd love to hear it. What topics you guys would like to hear, and just communicate with us. We're all talkative guys. We love talking football. So
Hit us up.
yep, we love you. We'll see you next week.